My role as speaker evaluator is to listen to Sam's speech and provide feedback on what he did very well and what he could improve on. I've worked with Sam over the last couple days, getting to know what his speech is going to be about. I'll provide a verbal evaluation later on in the meeting. So, as Carl said, today's first speech comes from Sam Martinez, delivering project number 2. And as many of us have learned through various table topics responses, Sam lives and breathes all things techie. So, as you get to know him better, you'll find that he's a verifiable guru in computer repair, computer programming, the smartphone revolution, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Yammer, everything that is techie, he's the guy to talk to. And today he's going to share some of the expertise with the group. His speech today is entitled, Everything You Wish You Didn't Know About Malware. And in his speech, Sam hopes to inform the group about how our personal computers are being exploited today and the risk of exposure to malware. And he will provide us with a few tips that we can use to reduce that risk. Like anyone else, one of Sam's goals is to deliver his speech within the allotted time of 5 to 7 minutes, Jesse. He's hoping to improve his use of vocal variety. And above all else, he would like to ensure that the content of today's speech is relatable to his audience and provides us with some useful information that we not only understand, but can use in our daily lives. So please give a warm welcome to Sam.
I've owned and operated a computer consulting business for the last 10 years, and one question that always pops up is people ask me, why do people make viruses? Well, viruses and malware are pretty much the same thing, so we'll just say the answer to this may surprise you. Over the next few minutes, I'm going to define what malware is, why it exists, and some of the methods that are used for distribution of malware. Some of those include social engineering, clickjacking, and drive-by downloads. I don't know if any of you heard of these, but it's an epidemic. I will close with a few tips that you might be able to take with you to help avoid some of these exploits in your own personal computers. So what is malware? Malware is actually short for malicious software, and it can be described as any software that has a malicious intent to disrupt operation or deny operation, to gather information that leads to the loss of privacy, or gain unauthorized access to system resources. By definition, all forms of viruses, worms, trojans, rootkits, basically anything that you don't want on your computer that you didn't ask for is considered malware. Okay, so why does malware exist? What is its purpose, and why do people keep making them? The short answer to this question is it's a financial gain. Albeit by exploitation, they gain financial windfalls from this. There is an entire underground world of cyber criminals who create and distribute these software. They actually sell them to other would-be criminals for as much as $2,000 for these malware kits. They are not just one piece of malware that like you might get on your computer, but it's a whole kit that if you hit this type of operating system, they perform these functions, this type, they perform different functions. So it's very elaborate, and the methods that they use for distribution and infiltration keep evolving, so it's very difficult to keep up with them. Kaspersky Labs is a security organization, and they have actually deemed this the cash factory, because that's what it's all about. That's why people are paying for it. In fact, the exploitation software that people buy, these other would-be criminals, it actually gives them statistics on how they're doing, how much they're reaping, how much profit they're making, where they're having successes, in what region, and what sort of exploits are being used. So it's pretty impressive what they're able to do. If you've ever received a spam email, something along the lines of Viagra or glandular enlargement, pornography, anything that seems a little questionable, these are the types of wares that these people are selling. And this is what the underground market, black market I would call it, is all about. That's their cash cow. Fake antivirus is one of the big ones that people see pop up on their computer and they never ask for it. It's trying to trick them into clicking, here, click here. In late 1990s and early 2000s, computer viruses and Trojans and worms were running amok. They were everywhere. They were cavorting about within our personal computers and our servers and bringing down sections of the internet and the large corporations alike. The primary means of distribution at that time was through email. Once Microsoft patched their software and they distributed a firewall, incorporated it into all of our Windows XP computers at the time, these hackers had to find new methods of distribution for their, to get their viruses out there, their malware. So they turned to social engineering. The method that they used for social engineering was to scare people into thinking that their computer was going to be infected if they didn't click here. And what actually happened when they click here is that they were allowing the hacker access to drop a file onto their computer and get in through a back door. So once they did that, once they pushed that button, they were infected, and it just grew from there. Because once they drop a file, that file goes out and downloads more files, and it just grows and grows and grows. After seeing this for a period of time, users started to get wise, and it stopped working as efficiently as they'd like. So then they turned to a method called clickjacking. And what this is they would actually get into a website and hack into the website, unauthorized access, and they would go in and modify the code. So what you see when you go to this website is a button there that says download this file or get this or whatever it is you think you're clicking. They have masked it and put a fake button that's invisible in front of the button you thought you were clicking. So you're pushing and trying to get the button you see when in fact you're pushing their button, which routed to their site, allowed them to download a file onto your computer and again gain access. So they're very smart and they just keep evolving. Today, hackers are using a method of distribution called drive-by download. A Kaspersky Lab white paper was issued recently that said Google had scoured over 3 billion websites, and they found more than 3 million websites were infected with this malicious code. And that was in 2009. It's actually a larger number now, but it's an epidemic. A lot of security companies have actually deemed it that. They said that we are in the midst of a large-scale drive-by download epidemic. So what can you do to protect yourself? One of the most important things you can do is install your security updates from Microsoft. They are distributed for a reason, and when they find a security hole, they close it up as quickly as possible and they distribute it out to you. So you've got to get that installed. If these websites had in fact installed all their security updates, they wouldn't have gotten infiltrated, they wouldn't have been able to have this code infect you. So it's important to get all those downloaded and installed. And you want to enable your firewall, your Windows firewall. Always keep that on. That is very important. Internet Explorer 9 is another thing that you can do. It's actually the most secure internet browser out there. Even though you might like a different one, Safari, a lot of people like to go to that one, or Mozilla Firefox, Internet Explorer 9 is the most secure. It actually prevents you from, it protects you from 92% of all these infected websites. So that combined with antivirus are the most important things that you can do to protect yourself from infection. So I've covered what malware is, some of the things that they do to distribute malware, and basically give you a few tips that you can use to try and protect yourself at home.